Bungus Jake here with a quick thank you to all that have been watching. My video views have actually been going up, and I wanted to let you know it is greatly appreciated, because while I do it for fun, it is nice to see that people are watching. But on to today's battle. My wife and I are actually platooned up in the Tier 7 American Premium Tank Destroyer, the Scorpion. Not to be confused with the German, this tiny little thing is actually real, and it has basically no armor. I mean, it was built out of aluminum in real life, and meant to be air portable while packing as big of a gun as possible. So it does carry a punchy 90mm weapon with very good gun traverse, pretty good elevation, and good depression as well. Just it has no ability to take a hit. And you'll actually see later that HE, even despite the changes that World of Tanks made to HE is extraordinarily effective against these. And you have to be mindful of that. So stealth is required. It also does somehow manage to carry a lot of ammo on such a small vehicle, so I don't mind throwing some blind shots. I typically do this a lot if you've watched my replays. You know, fire at common spots in bushes. As long as you're not in a vehicle that has very restricted ammo, there's no reason not to, because you will typically at least land one extra shot per game by firing just at blind positions. And of course, you do that as long as you don't have an active target, which had been the case so far. And looking at the dust flying up, there isn't anybody in there, but the results will show that I did hit somebody earlier. Now I have an active target in a crazy AT-7, so of course we focus on him. If a heavily armored target like that's going to present himself wide open in a crossfire, you have to eliminate him as quickly as possible. Now, the accuracy of the Scorpion can leave a little to be desired. Of course, me being so familiar with German weaponry, even under full aim, this does not have the consistency of, say, something like the Steyr Waffenträger, that actually is significantly more accurate and higher penetration, both being Tier 7 premium tank destroyers. But the Scorpion isn't bad in that regard. It's just more common for the Americans to have a little bit of clumsiness in their weaponry. Now, it's as solid as can be, and while top tier like this, I don't need to be shooting any premium. I carry the 15 rounds, and they are a very effective premium shell, especially because it is heat. So at long range against tier 8s and tier 9s that are tough, you'll find it to be very effective. But here so far, very typical tank destroyer gameplay on province map, pretty static, and you're just trying to take shots of opportunity and support your teammates who went across the map, because that is a winning gameplay move. Now their light tank is actually trying to do a good job of countering us, because if a light tank can get underneath the cliff edge, he can proxy spot all the tank destroyers that are traditionally just sitting there at the edge. So as a tank destroyer player, your best move is to move away from the edge. Don't sit there, because you will get proximity detected, and it's highly likely that there will be at least 1 to 2 enemies who have shots on you. So as soon as I think that it's a risk of him proxying me, I move away. I came to the back to help cover and maybe get a shot on the T-150. And now that he's moved out of proxy range, I am going to try to get in position to finish him off, because he is not going to sit there. And I see the Type 64 is making a move to counter him, so he's going to be pinched. Either I'm going to finish him off, which happens, or the Type 64 would have. Now, of course, that gets me spotted, and now I'm making a mad dash, because I am a never-ending artillery-focused target. As you see, I'm doing some erratic driving, and sure enough, the shot comes in. That's my life. I always am focused by artillery. But back to what I expect to be the next threat, the T-150. He does indeed push up, which I had been expecting for a little bit, and that's why I came over here a moment ago before dealing with the T-50. But the T-150 is a nice tier 6 heavy, but against this weapon, I can easily penetrate it, even with him having a good angle there. He was reversing, but he was at a nice solid diamond profile. There's the American weapon clumsiness. It went actually between his tracks. But the follow-up shot, of course, finishes him off. Now, getting to the later stages of these games here on Province, it can be a very static map if you let it be. But even in a tank destroyer, you need to move around and be proactive. If you notice, even our Stir Emil, he's taken some hits, but he's been moving. And that's a large and slow tank destroyer. But he's moved to cover the base when the T-50 came over, and now he is also repositioned to cover the approach here. And now it looks like we're down to a C-71DA, and I have full health. I don't want that Stir Emil to start getting focused because his weapon is key to have. Because at this later point of the game, when you're halfway through, and we are by the destroyed tanks count, when you're halfway through a game, and it could very easily turn into a stagnant stalemate on Province, because even though the enemy's 3 tanks down and 1,000 hit points down, if our team makes a couple mistakes here and there, which they will, the enemy can easily go back to the J1, K1, K2 area and hold off and pull out a win. I've done it myself multiple times because there is so much cover and concealment there. And now we need to be proactive. I'm the quickest outside of the Super Hellcat. See, our AMX, he got way too overzealous and he paid the price with his destruction of his tank. And here I was actually going to charge their Scorpion. That's why I have the HE going in. I was considering going on down there. And I suspect he's either going to come up directly this way, or he's going to take the southern route and go up onto the perch. Because he still does have the T-71DA there. And a lot of World of Tanks is trying to analyze and predict what your enemy is going to be doing and react accordingly. That is a big aspect to success on World of Tanks. Read the map, read the flow of the game, and try to predict as best you can the enemy's maneuvers. And here, again, it's 50-50. If he's an aggressive player, or maybe just careless, he might push, that Scorpion might push straight up right into my waiting gun. And with HE loaded, I'm going to deal up to over half his health in one single shot. And of course, that's gonna, if you shoot the gun shield of a Scorpion, the HE explosion is gonna probably take out the gunner or the commander, depending on which side you hit. And it'll probably damage the gun, and maybe even the loader. So that is the key spot to fire at, and that's what I'm planning on doing. Of course, if you hit the front end, you can also kill a driver and knock out the engine if it does a full penetration. So that would be my hope. It's either I'm going to hit the gun shield or his front hull. Either way, 1 millimeter of aluminum doesn't have enough to stop this HE shot. But it looks to be that my guess is wrong. If he was going to push up, he would have done it by now. So I'm sitting here just making sure it's not a delayed move by him. My wife's actually moving with her Scorpion to follow up with the Super Hellcat, and the Scorpion has enough mobility to get around. And she's tagging along with the Super Hellcat. They're going to move over onto the west flank and try to at least cover it or put some pressure. That's, again, very dangerous because their Hellcat and SG-100Y have shown to be pretty responsive to a threat on that side. And the enemy actually right now, despite having less health overall, they have the advantage because they have a T-71 alive. Now he gets spotted. Our Stir Emil misses. And I am suspecting, and there he goes. So now my position is in a really bad way. I have to fall back. Now I cannot run up and try to make it back to the northern part of our flank. If I do, I will be spotted and I will take a T-71 DA clip to the back. And because the Scorpion never came up the road, he's probably up here as well. Now I know that. My wife's actually returning back over to the eastern flank. And now we're going to set up. She has to leave the Super Hellcat over there. But she's going to set up to hopefully get to the north, because she can safely without being spotted. I cannot. And now I'm afraid actually the T-71 is probably going to push around to the front of the buildings here. And if I'm sitting there, I will for sure eat an artillery shell, maybe also an SU-100Y shell. So I actually back into this bush. This is a pretty sneaky position. Somebody coming up the road cannot spot me. I can actually offer some cover to the Super Hellcat, and there's a chance they could actually bypass me if the T-71 gets a little gutsy. And also, if he does try to take the forward position, I can spot him. And now I'm going to get one free shot. Now I got to move. And he's now realizing, oh, wait a minute. There's somebody behind me. And one of the nice parts about that position is that I can get in behind this house. And had a major bit of lag there, which good thing I was in behind the house. Don't know why, the game had been very smooth and lag free up until that point. But now I've got my HE loaded and I am chasing the running Scorpion down. And again, there is half his health dealt in one hit. And all of a sudden the lag goes crazy. I miss a point-blank auto-aim shot where his vehicle was eating up the entire aiming reticle. And again, only here was there lag. I don't know what was going on there. But only at that point, when the Scorpion was around, was there any lag. Now, the game runs smooth otherwise, so I'm not saying anything about any issues that might have arose, but the fact that it happened and it cost me a shot. But moving on, I don't know why, but I had the nagging feeling that the M12 might have been up here, or that the Super Hellcat had crossed over. I mean the actual Hellcat, because the Super Hellcat, as far as I noticed, he wasn't having to deal with theirs. That was his last known position. But I thought maybe in the time it took the Super Hellcat to push up, the M12 might have came over here. Would have been a really proactive move by the M12, but that's who I was suspecting might have been up there. And as we find, the enemy Hellcat was sitting still behind cover and behind the buildings. I miss a easy shot and a follow-up shot. So now, having to reload for a third time. This is the American gunnery compared to my normal German fare. But now we're getting down to that M12 must be at K2. And sure enough, he is. Now here's the mistake that happens a lot, and I'm going to expound on it here in a second. The Super Hellcat goes in gung-ho and promptly gets blasted to the Stone Age. Looking at the time, this is situational awareness 101. There's not enough time for one person to cap. The best insurance of us winning is for us both just to simply cap, and now either the M12 is going to try to reset or he's not. Now the burden is on him, not us. But as you see here, in a second, our Super Hellcat tells us, go get him. No, we shouldn't. Right here, he says, come and get him. Now, he just got blasted back into history. That very well could happen to either my wife or myself. And there's not enough time for one person to cap. And now we're putting the onus of we both have to get our shots off. We both have to go up there. We could lose. Safe way to win, sit on Cap, make him come to you, and then you have all the advantage. And, of course, that is what happened. It resulted in Ace Tanker. I got the little fire for effect ribbon with a high caliber and a top gun with over 3,200 damage dealt and the 6 kills. It was taking the safe win over the possible extra little bit of damage, which I ended up getting anyways, by making the M12 come to us. I wasn't going to risk the top gun just for who knows of what might have happened. But good game in the end. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.